Radhe and welcome to Goura Sangha. Ekadashi. Every day, different stories coming about this topic. Should we observe or not observe? Is the central point of this video. For this, we will check some scientific research speaking about this. Also, we will study the history of Ekadashi, why we observe as Vaishnava the Ekadashi, and some other important major information to truly realize what is the importance of this fasting. First, we will enjoy a video speaking about the Nobel Prize from 2016 won by a Japanese scientist called Yoshinori Oksumi.
The Nobel Assembly at Karolinska Institute has today decided to award the 2016 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine to Yoshinori Oksumi for his discoveries of mechanisms for autophagy.
There is growing hope that this knowledge will lead to the development of new strategies for the treatment of many human diseases.
すごいです。朝のニュースで今日発表っていうのはちょっと聞いてて、で3年連続どうかって言われてたんで、まさかないだろうなと思ったら、すごいですね、なんか。
そういうのを聞くともっと頑張んないとなって思ったりするんで、やっぱりなんかいろんなことがあった1年だったんで、これからもっと頑張るためにもなんかそういうのはすごく嬉しいと思いました。
With this video, we can see that this information is true, is real, because some websites are claiming that this information, this Nobel Prize, is a fake. This is not the case. The following article was posted by the New York Times in October 3 of 2016 by Gina Kolata and Sewell Chan. Reads, Yoshinori Oksumi, a Japanese cell biologist, was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine on Monday for his discoveries on how cells recycle their content, a process known as autophagy, a Greek term for self-eating. This crucial process during starvation, cells break down proteins and non-essential components and reuse them for energy. Cells also use autophagy to destroy invading viruses and bacteria, sending them off for recycling. And cells use autophagy to get rid of damaged structures. The process is thought to go agree in cancer, infectious diseases, immunological diseases, and neurodegenerative disorders. Disruptions in autophagy are also thought to play a role in aging. This is the information that we can see and read about these incredible studies that finally are coming out. This is 2016, now in 2023, over or about 7 years later. This information is still going on, and for sure the research are much more interesting. Now, what is important about this info that I am presenting here to you is to understand that the fasting process for the body is a healing process. This has been a spiritual practice for generations and generations in different religions and philosophical point of view. Christians do fastings, Eastern celebrations. Muslims also do some fasting. Buddhists, of course, they do fasting, and in Hinduism also the fasting is important. In all the traditions, fasting is important. Nowadays, worldwide, there are different kind of philosophical ideas and even some trending ideas of fasting. Why we speak about Ekadashi is due to the traditional Hindu fasting that takes place about 2 times per month, and this fasting is recommended by Shastra and by the big acharyas of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. In Gaudiya Vaishnavism, we observe full fasting, not only fasting from grains, as explained by Sanatana Goswami Pad in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Full fasting means to not eat and drink for 24 hours or 12 hours. Then you can break with fruits or non-grain food. The body has time to recover and has time to burn all what does not need. So this is exactly what the study is speaking about. Now, very important is to say and to mention that this study from Japan made by Yoshinori Osumi is not talking directly about Ekadashi. The study does not claim that Ekadashi is a cure for cancer. The study claims that fasting can be a cure for cancer and for viruses. This is what the study is telling. So, of course, there were some ideas, some people from India and from ISKCON and others that were sharing this, like the news about Ekadashi cure cancer. This is fake. And in relation to fake news, then of course there were some web pages, web sites who spoke about that, and we will check this also. Now we can see, and I have to be very clear with this. Of course, research like this who will tell people that you, in a natural way, you can cure yourself or improve your immunity and improve your health, that is free, will not be a commercial success for any brand or company. We know that medicine nowadays, sadly, is in the hands of big companies. So there are big pharma mafias who are behind medicine. So of course, natural medicine and free cost health will not be supported that much. That is a page that reads a Central European Digital Media Observatory that claims Nobel winner for medicine promotes fasting to cure cancer. False. Okay, this is the first line that people will find out on Google when researching this information. And by natural consequence, if will not read more and investigate more about what is the content of the page, why their answer is false, then they will close the page and say, okay, this thing about fasting is fake, right? But what the page is explaining later is interesting and revealing. Autor Usair Rizvi, India. False social media post with tens of thousands of shares worldwide claim that Japanese scientist Yoshinori Osumi, who won the 2016 Nobel Medicine Prize, recommend fasting to cure cancer. He never said that. So from that point of view, you can write here false, as they are claiming here. False. He discovered that when we fast for 10 or 12 hours in a day, the energy already present in body is used up. With time, when appetite becomes intense, the body starts to eat the cancer cells. This is not exactly what he said. What he said that, yes, we can fast for half a day or for 1 day. Not to keep fasting for several days because this is dangerous. Official medicine is telling that to fasting for too long can be dangerous for patients, for people. And this is, of course, is normal. The body needs food. But to fast time to time for a couple hours, it will start making the body to eat the energy, and the cells who has some problems, there will be recycled. This is what this investigation from 2016 is speaking about. Now, 7 years have been passing by, so more information is out about this. All this information is correct about fasting, and it improves your health. Fasting improves your health. This is important discovery in the field of science. Autophagy is the name of this process. And what is autophagy? During starvation, cells break down proteins and other cells components and use them for energy. During autophagy, cells destroy viruses and bacteria and get rid of damaged structures. It is a process that is critical for cell health, renewal, and survival. This is true, and this is what this study and the Nobel Prize winner prove. So this is true. Now, since we know that this, based on science, is approved, that fasting is good, we will check then what is the story of Ekadashi and why it's so important to observe Ekadashi. We must keep in mind one very important thing. First, all the spiritual traditions. Many times we see as a spiritual tradition some ritualism like fasting and Ekadashi, but we forgot why these traditions are there, why these advices from text, from Shastra are there. We cannot keep and understand everything as a simple religious ritualism. Religious ritualism are not much of a help in anything. But why are there originally is what we have to investigate. Then when we realize that there is a scientific proof of fasting as a benefit for health. A benefit for health means benefit for your body. The body is connected to the mind. If the body is healthy, the mind is healthy. If the mind is healthy, meditation will be deep and healthy, will be possible. If your body is ill, of course you cannot do much nothing. If you are ill, you cannot serve anyone, but you will be served. So don't be ill. Take care of your health. This is the basis. Take good care of your body. Not on a materialistic ideas, but take care of your body, because the body is the temple of the soul, and the soul is in somehow God as well. Atma Paramatma. Taking this in consideration, we will study what Krishna have to say, or what the Vedas have to say for fasting and Ekadashi. This is a text that appears in Padma Purana, 14th chapter, called Kriya Sagara Sara. Krishna's story, how Ekadashi appears from Krishna's heart. Once the great sage Jaimini Rishi said to his spiritual master Srila Vyasadeva, "O Gurudev, previously by your mercy you described to me the history of the glories of Ganga river, the benefit of worshipping Vishnu, the giving of grains in charity, the giving of water in charity, and the magnanimity of drinking the water that has washed the feet of the Brahmanas. O best of the sages, Sri Gurudev, now with great enthusiasm I desire to hear the benefit of fasting on Ekadashi, on the appearance and the appearance of Ekadashi. Kasmat Ekadashi Yata Tashyaha Kova Vidir. O Gurudev, when did Ekadashi take birth, and from whom did she appear? What are the rules of fasting on Ekadashi? Please describe the benefit of following this vow, and when it should be followed. Who is the utmost worship able preceding deity of Sri Ekadashi? What are the faults if not following Ekadashi properly? Please bestow your mercy upon me and tell these subjects, as you are the only personality able to do so." Srila Vyasadeva, upon hearing this enquiry of Jaimini Rishi, became situated in transcendental bliss. O Brahmana, sage Jaimini, the results of following Ekadashi can only be perfectly described by the Supreme Lord, Narayan. Sri Narayan is the only personality capable of describing them in full, but I will give a very brief description in answer to your question. At the beginning of material creation, the Supreme Lord created the moving and non-moving living entities within this world, made of 5 gross material elements. Simultaneously, for the purpose of punishing the human beings, he created personalities whose form was the embodiment of sin, Baba Purusha. The different limbs of this personality were constructed of the various sinful activities. His head was made of the sin of murdering a Brahma. His 2 eyes were from the sin of drinking intoxications. His mouth was made of the sin of stealing gold. His ears were the form of the sin of having illicit connection with the spiritual master's wife. His nose of the sin of killing one's wife. His arm were the form of the sin of killing a cow. His neck made of the sin of stealing accumulated wealth. His chest of the sin of abortion. His lower chest of the sin of having sex with another's wife. His stomach of the sin of killing one's relatives. His navel of the sin of killing those who are dependent on him. His waist of the sin of self-appraisal. His his tithe of the sin of offending the Guru, his genital of the sin of selling one's daughter, his buttocks of the sin of telling confidential matters, his feet of the sin of killing one's father, and his hair the form of lesser, less severe sinful activities. In this way, a horrible personality embodying all the sinful activities and vices was created. His bodily color is black and his eyes are yellow. He inflicts extreme misery upon sinful persons. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, upon seeing this personality of sin, began to think to himself as follows: I am the creator of miseries and happiness for the living entities. I am the master because I have created this personality of sin, who gives distress to all dishonest, deceitful, and sinful persons. Now I must create someone who will control this personality. At this time, Sri Bhagavan created a personality known as Yamaraj and the different hellish planetary systems. Those living entities that are very sinful will be sent after death to Yamaraj, who will turn according to their sins, send them to a hellish region to suffer. After these adjustments had been made, the Supreme Lord, who is the giver of distress and happiness to the living entities, went to the house of Yamaraj with the help of Garuda, the king of birds. When Yamaraj saw that Lord Vishnu had arrived, he immediately washed his feet and made an offering unto him. He then had him sit upon a golden throne. The Supreme Lord Vishnu became seated on the throne, whereupon he heard very loud crying sound coming from the southern directions. He became surprised by this and thus inquired from Yamaraj, "From where is this loud crying coming?" Yamaraj in replying said, "O Deva, the different living entities of the earthly planetary system have fallen into hellish regions. They are suffering extremely for their misdeeds. The horrible crying is because of suffering from the inflictions of their past bad karma actions." After hearing this, Supreme Lord Vishnu went to the hellish regions to the south. When the inhabitants saw who he had come, they began to cry ever louder. The heart of the Supreme Lord Vishnu became filled with compassion. Lord Vishnu thought to himself, "I have created all this progeny, and it is because of me that they are suffering." Srila Vyasadeva continued, "O Jaimini, just listen what the Supreme Lord did next. After the merciful Supreme Lord thought over what he had previously considered, he suddenly manifested from his own form the deity of the lunar day of Ekadashi. Afterwards, the different sinful living entities began to follow the vow of Ekadashi and were there elevated quickly to the abode of Vaikuntha. O my child Jaimini, therefore the lunar day of Ekadashi is the self-same form of the Supreme Lord Vishnu and the super soul within the heart of the living entities. Shri Ekadashi is the utmost pious activity and is situated at the head among all vows. Following the ascension of Shri Ekadashi, the personality who is the form of the sinful activities gradually saw the influence she had. He approached Lord Vishnu with doubts in his heart and began offering many prayers, whereupon Lord Vishnu became very pleased and said, "I have become very pleased by your nice offerings. What boon is that you want?" The Papa Purusha replied, "I am your created progeny. It is told me that you want distress given to the living entities that are very sinful. But now, by the influence of Shri Ekadashi, I have become all but destroyed. O Prabhu, after I die, all of your parts and parcel who have accepted material bodies will become liberated and therefore return to the abode of Vaikuntha. In this liberation of all living entities takes place, then who will carry on your activities? There will be no one to enact the pastime in the earthly planetary system. O Keshava, if you want this eternal pastime to carry on, then you please save me from the fear of Ekadashi. No type of pious activity can bind me, but Ekadashi only, being your own manifested form, can impede me, can stop me, said this demon. Out of fear, Sri Ekadashi, I have fled the and taken shelter of men, animal, insects, hills, trees, moving and non-moving living entities, rivers, oceans, forests, heavenly, earthly, and hellish planet system, demigods, and the Gandharvas. I cannot find a place where I can be free from the fear of Sri Ekadashi. O my master, I am a product of your creation, so therefore, very mercifully, direct me to the place where I can reside fearlessly. Srila Vyasadeva then said to Jaimini, after saying this, the embodiment of all sinful activities, Papa Purusha, fell down at the feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is the destroyer of all miseries, and began to cry. After this, Lord Vishnu, observing the condition of Papa Purusha with laughter, began to speak thus, O Papa Purusha, rise up, don't lament any longer. Just listen and I will tell you where you can stay on the auspicious lunar day of Ekadashi. On the Ekadashi day, which is the benefactor of the three worlds, you can take shelter of food stuff in the form of grains. There is no reason to worry about this anymore, because my form, as Sri Ekadashi Devi, will no longer impede you. After giving direction to Papa Purush, the Supreme Lord Vishnu disappeared, and the Papa Purush returned to the performance of his own activities. This is the description of the 14th chapter of the Padma Purana from the section entitled Kriya Sagara Sara. Then we can see here the full story of why Ekadashi is so important, and who does not observe Ekadashi will be under the slayer of this Papa Purush. We must understand that far from our pious activities in this life, we don't remember normally our previous lives. So we don't know what we have been doing and what we haven't been doing previously. Then we cannot trust 100% what will be our karma, our sins, activities, and reactions of our previous life. Even in this own life, right? Then we can have a double two thoughts here. Maybe I am on the wave of Rasika Vaishnavism, Vishnu and Ekadashi and all this material world is not something for me because I am on a different spiritual path. Yes, but remember one thing, that this is your spiritual path, but what about your body? What about your wealth? What about your health? All this is manifested and is working inside this reality that has some universal law. So in this way, we must understand that the reality of Vishnu, even if our goal as Gaudiya Vaishnava and many other lines of Gaudiya Vaishnavism is not to go to Vaikuntha, Vishnu's Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Narayan Vaikunthas, but is to achieve Nitya Vihar or Nitya Vrindavan, right? Still there, we must understand that we must to purify ourselves. It's not just because I chant Radha Radha or I chant one mantra or another secret mantra, I am fully purified. My previous karma is still there, and we must understand that the karma does not vanish just by magic. We must work on that. good karma and pious activities produce good karma or sukriti, right? But it does not neutralize my previous negative karma. This is established by Srila Jiva Goswami. He explained about this in the Sandarbhas. My previous karma will not vanish just like this. By kripa of Sri Nitai, Sri Gurudev, Sri Radharani, Sri Krishna, may it will disappear. But do I have proof that they have been giving me this blessing that my karma disappear? No, with exception if Sri Guru will tell you directly, I have been banished all your karma. But if this is not the case, then the karma is still there, maybe sleeping, but it's still there. So we should not just feel comfy on now I am a Rasika Vaishnava studying Rasika Vaishnavism or Vaishnavism and I am free of karma. This is not the case and is not approved by the Jiva Goswami, the Sandarbha and the Shastra. So in this way we must observe Ekadashi not only to burn our sinful activities but also to take care of our body on a physical platform. Because if our body is healthy, we can do sadhana and we can do bhakti, we can serve. If our body is unhealthy, we will be served. And the nightmare for a Vaishnava is to be served by somebody else. We must to serve. This is our real duty as aspirant of servant of the servant. Dasanu das. Well, I hope this information came in the right time for you and you enjoy all this investigation and my work. Of course, as always, you give like and share in your social media if you think this information is important and many people should be listening and hearing these studies about Ekadashi fasting and the benefit of fasting. So we can keep the benefit of fasting in Ekadashi as traditionally taught by the text and explained by the Supreme Personality of God as well. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next. Jai Jai Shri Radheshyam.